Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Again, let's tackle this issue of the mainstream narrative versus, well, reality. The narrative is that Donald Trump, and of course by extension the Trump administration as a whole, was unprofessional, unpresidential, breaking this long-standing history, this precedent of professionalism. And the counter-element to that narrative is that Joe Biden and the Democrats brought back professionalism. They brought back credibility to the office. Well, of course, you could look at pretty much any individual in the Biden White House and find out very quickly for yourself why that narrative is total bogus, but the one person who does the best job at destroying the credibility of this clown show of an administration is, of course, none other than Karine Jean-Pierre. Our coverage on her disastrous career continues. Let me show you guys exactly what she's up to now. It's just as sad, cringe, and pathetic as normal. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so let's first start off by saying that Karine Jean-Pierre is up to the same old, same old. Let's first start off with the usual, the Karine Jean-Pierre fact check. The entire Democrat establishment, the radical left apparatus, is currently waging some sort of a cultural war against the state of Florida. Certain activist groups are issuing travel advisories. Now, I generally don't like to give too much detail on what's going on in my personal life, my location, you guys know the deal, but I'm currently in South Florida. I bounce around, I travel a lot. That's the beauty of being a YouTuber and being able to take your work wherever you want, but I spend a whole lot of time here. You know, I see all these leftist activist groups telling me that it's Jim Crow 2.0, it's a fascist hellscape, and I'm looking around like John Travolta, confused, not exactly seeing it. What exactly are you talking about? It's freaking beautiful over here, and it feels like one of the freest places on earth. But of course, reality never stopped these leftoids from trying to craft a narrative. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre chiming in on the state of Florida politics and policy.
I also want to say a word about the decision yesterday made by the Florida Board of Education to expand the state's dystopian Don't Say Gay law. As this measure takes effect, it will prohibit all students up to seniors in high school from learning about or discussing LGBTQI+ people in the classrooms. Teachers in Florida have already faced the devastating consequences of the existing law. Under threat of having their licenses revoked, gay teachers have been forced to take down pictures of their spouses from their desks.
Now, what she just said was utter fake news. Firstly, how deeply unethical it is, somebody working for the federal government, for the White House, to straight up promote a fake news narrative. That's what actively happens in the White House press room. Karine Jean-Pierre not only lied in labeling the bill the Don't Say Gay bill, those three words are literally not written anywhere, we've covered that extensively, but she then goes on to promote a false narrative that has already been debunked. This whole teachers being forced to remove pictures of their partners from their desk. Let's cue the fact check.
This law is putting children's lives at risk.
This claim about photos stemmed from concerns that were raised by several teachers and parents during a recent Orange County School Board meeting. But the district tells Verify it is not accurate. Quote, all teachers are encouraged to keep pictures of their families in the classroom. However, in K-3, the district is cautioning against specific discussions in the event those discussions could be deemed classroom instruction. Now, in a motion that the state just filed to dismiss a lawsuit to block this new law, we are getting some of our clearest guidance yet. The state arguing, quote, there is no merit to the suggestion that the statute restricts gay and transgender teachers from putting a family photo on their desk or referring to their spouse, because the state argues in this court filing that it does not view that as instruction, which is what the law bans.
This is an overt lie. Only Republicans peddle in misinformation and disinformation. Really? Because I seem to be making a video covering a story every day, if not every second day, of yet again another Democrat peddling straight up misinformation. And by the way, this comes right off the back of Democrats promoting the ridiculous no books in Florida libraries narrative that once again was totally debunked. This comes right off the back of Democrats facing yet again another L after promoting the whole Rebecca Jones garbage narrative, targeting the Ron DeSantis government in Florida. Straight up lies and misinformation constantly. This White House is almost always teetering on the edge of ethical violations. And if it's not an actual violation on the books, it's absolutely unethical and it's not debatable. The White House is supposed to be held to a certain standard. In the Biden White House, there is no standard. It's simply say whatever you want. Say whatever makes you feel good, whatever makes us look good, whatever attacks the other side. Be as partisan and political as you want. Say whatever you want, and don't even bother looking into the facts. Of course, we know Karine Jean-Pierre seems to be allergic to facts, never really looking into them. When questioned on the validity of any of her statements, it's always, well, I have nothing for you, or I understand your concern, but I simply won't address it. But anyway, speaking of ethical violations and violations in general, and the continued total lack of unprofessionalism coming from Karine Jean-Pierre specifically, here she is getting totally embarrassed on yet again another issue, once again embarrassed by White House press journalists, on the topic of her potentially violating the Hatch Act once again.
Why have you been willing to talk about President Trump before? And were you in violation of the Hatch Act when you did
not, because we're talking about what the president has done in the administration. No, I know. I'm answering your question because I'm saying the President Trump. We were talking about what he did in the last administration. We were talking about policies that were harmful in the past administration. No. He asked me, does the president still believe that Donald Trump is a threat if he wins, right? Because he's a candidate. That's something different.
No. He didn't ask that.
Can I just say what I said? I was asking, is President Biden, does he follow the words and actions of this person, Donald Trump?
As a candidate, right? As a candidate. So yes, I'm saying I'm not talking about 2024. I'm not talking about What I have talked about.
Donald Trump has been a candidate for re-election or for election or however you want to call it.
I understand
like
that.
A year, and you've talked about him a lot.
Yes,
and
about
what he's done a lot,
as I talked about his policies when he was president. That's what I have talked about. That's what I've talked about.
I mean, let's talk about professionalism. Karine Jean-Pierre not only is constantly spreading misinformation about Trump policies and using them to deflect away from Joe Biden's own failures, on top of that dishonesty, she's also using the White House podium to essentially campaign for Joe Biden by attacking his clear political rival ahead of the 2024 election, Donald J. Trump. The Hatch Act exists for a reason. You're not supposed to use the White House to campaign. That's clearly unfair. You're essentially using federal resources and the federal amplifier. I mean, it's a clear campaign violation. You're not supposed to be using federal resources, the metaphorical microphone and the amplifier of the White House, to be campaigning for an election or for the next election when your opponents don't get that same privilege. Yet this White House, which is supposed to be the standard of professionalism that saved the country from evil and terrible Donald Trump, continues to do that, has been doing that, has been accused of doing that, basically since day one, for 2.5 years at this point, at least almost 2.5 years. I'm just going to end the video by saying this administration is the least honest, the most unethical, the least professional, and of course the least transparent in modern American history and possibly all of American history. An absolute disaster which Karine Jean-Pierre and Joe Biden continue to be the face of. That, however, is what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. You know, we'd love to have you here at the Liberal Hive Mind. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.